is no more than the usual formality. TJ, here come Galway for the second half. Do you see any chance of Galway pulling this one out of the park?
Well, Michael, there's 7 points in it now. 7 points sounds a lot, but it's not a great lot in hurling, so it only takes a couple of pucks of the ball. But they'll certainly have to improve an awful lot. The full back line gave away a few frees. The half back line is not going great at the moment. Offaly are certainly on top of midfield and on top of the back, so they'll have to just improve a little bit on them.
Babs, we speculated that Pat Malone might come into this game, and indeed there he is, number 17, Galway's regular midfielder down through the years. Didn't start because of an injury. Obviously Galway feel they need him now.
Well, they need Pat, and they need him playing well. He certainly wouldn't want to be injured playing against the competition that's out there from Offaly. Apart from that, there's the Galway forward line that's leaving him down. There's nothing happening for Joe Coney and Joe Rabbit and young Kelly in the corner, and the Hopper is the only one that's kind of making his way for a few scores at the moment.
Pat should be okay for this one, Babs, because he was almost right to start. They just didn't want to chance him, but they felt if he had another week he would have been absolutely right. But I think they're still going to get a good 35 minutes from him.
Well, I suppose we know we're speaking to a Galway man, so Michael, for your sake, I hope he does.
Well, one cannot take away from the fact, though, that DJ Carey, that Offaly, from their performance in the first 35 minutes, they deserve to be in this All Ireland final with Limerick, and it would be very surprising at this stage if they're not.
Yeah, that's true, Michael. They played very well in the first half, from goal right up to the corner forward. They've taken their chances, they've stopped it at the back. So without doubt, they really deserve where they are at the moment.
OK, let's see if Offaly can keep it going then for another 35 minutes as we go back to our match commentator, Ger Canning.
Well, as you've seen, Galway making that one change for the second half, and Pat Malone has come in. Normally he would go into midfield, and we're just waiting to see whether in fact that's going to be the case today or not. And I've noticed that there are quite a number of positional switches. Pádraig Kelly, for instance, is now playing top of the right. Joe Cooney is full forward. Liam Burke top of the left. The half forward line at the moment reads McGrath, Rabbit and Campbell. Pat Malone has gone into midfield to reform that partnership that has been so successful over the years with Michael Coleman. I don't think Offaly have made any changes, didn't need to do so. So a partnership now that has gone back quite a while, back to about 1989 I think, when Malone and Coleman played together at midfield in the championship for the first time. So just 7 points between the teams and a lot to play for. Brian Whelan closed down here by Justin Campbell. Lobbed in. Jim Troy having some work to do. Kevin Martin, again one of the newcomers this year, towards Daithí Regan. Typical clash at midfield. Malone straight into the thick of the action. Partly blocked that time. Runs on from McGrath. Michael McGrath. Inside towards Joe Cooney, now playing on the fringe of the square. Kevin Kinahan lost the stick. Brian Whelan there against Justin Campbell. Peter Kelly, by the way, is the player who's gone off. Campbell inside there towards Joe Cooney, trying to steal a march on the others. Cooney still bearing in there. In the end, it's Martin Hannamy getting the assistance here of Hubert Rigney. Long relieving clearance down towards John Troy. Michael Coleman now for a Galway side, trailing by 1-8 to 4 points. Some great skill here. Good shoulder, and the referee says it's not a good shoulder. It was a lovely bit of skill just before that. Christy Hellebrand, the player, going back there. So Offaly get the free in. Johnny Dooley will be the taker. This the earlier piece of action here. Michael Coleman brilliantly blocked down there by Joe Dooley. All about timing. Johnny Dooley, 5 points from the first half, and now another at the start of the second. So looking good then for the faithful county, but so early in the day. Jim Troy, the netminder, looking on. Kevin Martin came across smartly, hooked by Joe Rabbit. Rabbit wins it back. Possession vital for Galway now. That's a lovely tip away there. Nicely done Back again towards Pat Malone. And everybody trying to win possession, in particular Corey Kelly here against Martin Hannamy. Just watch this once again here, as we watch the Offaly players in pursuit of Joe Rabbit, and it was midfielder Johnny Pilkington who tipped it away. Donny Regan shaping up for a contest here with Michael Coleman, won it well to Corey Kelly. Martin Hannamy had his brother Peter to mark in the first half without the stick. Hannamy getting the clearance in, Coleman back in again towards Hopper McGrath. Kevin Martin leading it inside towards Joe Cooney, leading assistance. Hopper McGrath, who came on as a sub for his first championship taste of the action some 9 years ago against Cork. Hubert Rigney, long ball inside. Towards Pat O'Connor, runs on but beats them all. Joe Rabbit has it. Struggling to get by, held there by Hubert Rigney, and Johnny Pilkington was there as well. So free to Galway. Liam Burke, the taker, in front of an attendance of 45,053 people. Making the score, his third point, all of them coming from frees. Galway still with just 2 points from play out of that tally of 5. A disappointing return so far. And the Galway fans up on Hill 16, hoping to get right behind their team now. See them back into another decider. It's Joe Rabbit in towards Joe Cooney, trying to open up the play and trying to open up this Offaly backline in particular, outside the 45-metre line. Not quite where Joe Cooney wanted it, but it reaches Liam Burke, dispossessed well. This is wonderful skill here with Brian Wheelahan. Christy Halliburtt. Halliburtt, very strong, difficult to dispossess. One of the best running efforts there of Michael Coleman. That's gone out of play. He started the year very prominently for Galway in League and Railway Cup. Fired in well. Michael Coleman lets it run down. Tom Halliburtt here, pursued by Pat O'Connor the whole time. Just nurses it away into midfield. Pat Malone. Looking to lift the tempo of Galway's game around midfield. That bounced away from Joe Cooney. Back there to Shane McGuckian. Cooney closing in on him. Taken down there, that'll be a free in. McGuckian here, one of 3 St. Rhinus players from Banagher, playing in today's defence. Ironically, at club level against Sarsfields, they went under in the All Ireland Club Semi-Final earlier this year. Liam Burke, the angle was tight, he made light of it however, to put over his 4th point out of Galway's tally of 6, and 6 between them. Galway fans now roaring their encouragement, believing it's possible. They may not be playing all that well, but they're still very firmly in the hunt. Only 6 minutes into the second half. Joe Rabbit rising high for that. Daithí Regan. John Troy. Nicely inside towards Pat O'Connor. Trying to round Paul Cooney. O'Connor, jersey tugged inside there, and that's a penalty. Paul Cooney fouling his man. The man being Pat O'Connor, the first half substitute. The referee blowing for this incident here after Pat O'Connor really used some fine speed and skill, but there was clearly a foul in there. So just 3 on the goal line, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Offaly mentors across there had been instructing Johnny Dooley here to go for a point at this stage. Certainly Andy Gallagher was on the edge of the ground there, signalling that he might go for a point. So what will the player do? He's taken the instruction. Offaly's 7th point for Johnny Dooley. It's 110 to 6 points. We're watching at the other end. Joe Rabbit letting it outside there to Pádraig Kelly, surrounded by Offaly men. And then getting some support, and the referee says, hold it there and we'll throw the ball in. Martin Hannamy, the last player who was trying to get himself off the ground here. Playing in his 16th championship match and receiving a blow to the face as well. 27-year-old who first, 28 rather, first played in the championship in 1987. Kilkenny won the Leinster that year but lost the All Ireland to Galway. And Martin, former All-Star. This the action here again. Pádraig Kelly was closing in on him. Just a clash of heads, I think, there. That was the incident. Joe McGrath there may well be coming in for Galway very shortly. With the Galway seniors last year, and also of course with the under-21s. And Brendan Lee, the medical officer of the Offaly team, just making sure that the number 4 is okay. And Eamon Cregan there as well. Eamon has been very impressed with the spirit and determination of the Offaly players over the last couple of years. And luck wasn't always on their side. But now 9 minutes into the second half, they have a 7-point lead. Joe Rabbit cross towards Pádraig Kelly, beating the block. Brian Wheelahan in the grip of the stick, lengthy delivery down towards John Troy, right into the corner there. Christy Helibert playing well in the Galway defence right from the outset. He's been closing down Declan Pilkin and Billy Dooley as well when he was on him. Shane McGuckin getting the assistance there from Brian Wheelahan. Stopped by Jerry McInerney to Pat Malone. Stand to the Offaly player, out of my way you get. In towards Michael Coleman. The intention was to play it back to Malone. Instead, it's Offaly who take it here. Billy Dooley stopped, however, by Tom Helibert. Paul Cooney. Kevin Martin now to make some headway. Instead it's Michael Coleman. Long hand pass, but not quite long enough to get by Johnny Pilkington. Justin Campbell did well, however. And that'll be an Offaly ball. Justin made his championship debut against Carlow, then the All Ireland B champions in 1992. So Brian Wheelahan, with Galway considering a substitution, possibly bringing in Joe McGrath very shortly. Liam Burke. Again, the angle quite tight, but this time just getting the better of him. And as we watch Liam Burke, I can tell you that Joe McGrath is out on the field. So some further switches and changes. Joe McGrath has definitely come on, and the player who appears to be going off is Pádraig Kelly. Such of the slings and arrows and so on of sport, very much the hero last year, and this year replaced just 11 minutes into the second half. Stalemate broken over there with Johnny Dooley trying to converge on goal, stopped by Michael Coleman, trying to get something going for Galway. Joe Cooney, if ever they needed his leadership, today is the day. This is Joe McGrath, head down, typical fashion, stopped by Jim Troy, almost going back to the forward. Troy doing well, attempting now to get away from the would-be hoop, needing support from the fullback, Kevin Kinahan. These Offaly backs are decidedly mean, giving nothing away lightly. That's inside towards Justin Campbell, fed back here towards Joe McGrath, second chance of a score, this time he gets his point. Already making his presence felt. 6 between them. Joe was a little out of luck earlier on when Jim Troy made the stop, but this time got away from the would-be block, took his score. Pete Finnerty. Joe Dooley trying to make some headway towards brother Billy. On to John Troy. The Troys and the Dooleys. What a miss. And just the second wide of the second half. That misjudgment there by John Troy. So it's 11 wides now for Offaly, and for Galway, 5. Brian Wheelahan touching it down. Getting assistance from Johnny Pilkington, playing a very steady game at midfield. Pete Finnerty now. Towards Joe Rabbit. Hurley there from Hubert Rigney. Hubert once again, centre half back. Short in the grip of the stick. Not such a good pass. Which is Donald Regan nonetheless. And away from Michael Coleman he goes. Pete Finnerty the next to put in a challenge. Then Nigel Shaughnessy. Out by Jerry McInerney to Pat Malone, down towards Liam Burke. Very much venom behind that one. Jim Troy waiting for it. And finally it does make its way out over the end line. Well, he'd be disappointed with that, because there's certainly a real promise of a score there. Joe Dooley has switched into midfield on Michael Coleman. Dáithí Regan now playing left half forward on Pete Finnerty. And while it's the happily recovered Joe Rabbit, took a knock, but a strong fellow he is. Pat Malone just doing well. There's Johnny Pilkington there. But again, it's Joe Cooney outside nicely. And Malone coming forward. Pat Malone gets his first point since his introduction at half-time. And now Offaly's lead is down to 5 points. Galway fans will still believe it's possible. A decision by Johnny Dooley to go for a point rather than a goal from the penalty, and they might well have had a much wider gap to come back from Galway, but now they'll feel with this point by Pat Malone that they're still there firmly in the hunt. Joe Dooley to Dáithí Regan, and they switched positions just a few minutes ago. Pat O'Connor here against Paul Cooney. Pete Finnerty, Joe Dooley trying to link up with a colleague. 2 players there, one of them is Kevin Martin. Joe Rabbit in very smartly with the block. Quarter of an hour into the second half. Galway somehow doggedly trying to get on top. That's deflected away there by Brian Whelan, who went back to recover well, facing his own end line. Good clearance away towards Johnny Dooley's side. Pat Malone forward into the corner. Again, it's Brian Wheelahan winning the race there with Justin Campbell. So will it be an Offaly Limerick All Ireland final or a Galway Limerick final? That to be determined in the next 20 minutes or thereabouts. Richie Burke. Huge clearance. Kevin Martin touching it down with a waiting stick for the stick from Joe McGrath. Jackson they call him. On to his brother Hopper. Against Kevin Martin. Hopper hand passing. Oh, Joe Cooney was in there, appeals for a penalty. Referee says, good challenge, blocked down again. Kevin Kinhan getting it away to Hubert Rigney. Rigney left side. Offaly living just dangerously there for a moment or two. On towards John Troy. Troy turning around, Finnerty's on his knees. Ball delivered deep inside towards O'Connor. The broken ball picked up by Tom Hillibert on his left-hand side, whipped away towards midfield. Johnny Pilkington, the tempo of the game lifting up even more. And we could yet be in for a grandstand finish here. Just a few minutes ago there, Galway very nearly in for a possible score. And this is where Hopper McGrath hand passed across for Joe Cooney to come in onto. And there was the challenge. The referee says it was perfectly fair. Johnny Pilkington. It's time to low on the ground for Nigel Shaughnessy to get in there. Johnny Dooley outside to John Troy. And a hand passing here being used by Offaly to try and set up a scoring chance. In the end, wide of the target by Declan Pilkington. He's yet to score in this match. Only one of the Offaly forwards has failed to register a score. Brian Wheelahan lets that one run on. In towards the inside forwards, Martin Hannamy coming to his side's rescue. Hubert Rigney. Out towards the centre forward, John Troy, who's been very effective in limited possession. Nigel Shaughnessy, back in his best position around left half back. Joe McGrath trying to forage, likewise the other Joe Rabbit. And a high elbow caught him there. And the referee there, just quite unhappy, I think. Got that elbow there. Went unpenalised. This was Joe Rabbit coming along in here, and that's where the elbow was caught from Kevin Martin. And that's put over the bar. So yet another point by Liam Burke, his 5th pointed free. Michael Duignan, at the first hint of a crisis, is in for Offaly. You've seen who's making his way off. Daithí Regan now racing across towards the far side with 4 between them. Regan is the player who has been replaced. Joe Dooley. Broken down inside here towards Tom Hellebuck. John Troy trying to come onto again. This time they close him down very smartly. Had to, as he's so dangerous. And the Galway backs. Backs really very firmly to the wall. That time Paul Cooney dispossessed by his substitute Pat O'Connor. So Pete Finnerty, not for the first time this afternoon, shaping up to this sideline cut. Got it to a colleague, Michael Coleman. Towards Joe McGrath and Justin Campbell. It's Campbell who has it, showing his speed, trying to race away from Whelan. The hand pass inside, but only as far as Shane McGuckin of Offaly. One back here with Justin Campbell and Liam Burke. It's Liam Burke who has it, firing in the shot, up to the right and wide. He's had a couple of chances. This is where the raiding Justin Campbell really showed a clean pair of heels there to Brian Wheelahan and also to Kevin Martin. Then when he enterprisingly hand passed it across, instead of going for a point, it's Shane McGuckin who made a secure fetch. Appears to be Michael Keneally there from the St. Ryna's club, who is being prepared across there. Well, an interesting fact so far from the scoreable frees, none has been missed, but this is quite a fair distance out here for Johnny Dooley. Can he find the range? Well, he finds the goalkeeper's left hand. Richie Burke, good clearance. Offaly 110, Galway 9 points. About 14 minutes left. Martin Hannamy, quite a dogged struggle as it's been throughout. Pete Finnerty towards Johnny Pilkington and towards Billy Dooley. Dooley playing top of the left, locating Pat O'Connor. Good hand pass back to Dooley. This is great skill. Billy Dooley bearing in, and he's scored. To 9 points, Billy Dooley going in there. 22 minutes now into the second half. Lovely skill involved here. And watch for the final piece of action here as Billy Dooley was going in. Just shortening the stick and away to the far corner. From another angle, it's worth looking at this once again. Pat O'Connor, how invaluable he's been to the team. And look at the pace of all these forwards in this match. But in particular, Billy Dooley here tightened the grip on the stick and into the corner. And then, unfortunately, Billy Dooley went down and received an injury, a back injury it seems, from here. A goal and a point for Billy Dooley, quite a contribution. 7 points so far for his brother Johnny, a point for another brother Joe. John Troy, of course, getting the first half goal after 27 minutes. So with Offaly now leading by 2-10 to 9 points, are they on their way for a showdown in the All Ireland final? This was a great run in here by Billy Dooley, who ran into the goalkeeper. Very effective challenge by Richie Burke. No foul, none intended, I'm sure. Just ran into him, his momentum carried him on. And thankfully he's back on his feet, able to play on. There's a big, huge cheer. And now the Offaly following, wondering whether or not Billy and the others will be here against Limerick. 12 minutes to go now. And they're celebrating already. Against a Galway side, that might be premature. And that's a point by Joe Cooney. Joe's first contribution from the scoring stakes. 2 goals separating the teams. And Galway now making a change. Jim Troy watching that, seeing that Dermot Fahy has come in. And Pete Finnerty appears to be the player they're replacing. So a change then for Galway. Dermot Fahy in place of Pete Finnerty. He's taken Finnerty's position at right half back. Joe McGrath breaking that one down, but only as far as an Offaly player. Michael Dygnam. This looks a bit better. It again drops into the arms of Richie Burke from Declan Pilkington. So the vital last 10 minutes of this game now. Hopper McGrath. Not quite getting the range. It's the 8th wide for Galway and the 5th in the second half. One play just been held up for a minute now because Michael Keneally has come in. Michael Keneally from St. Rynagh's in Banagher. And Declan Pilkington, I think, is the player who's going off. So Eamon Cregan giving the pat on the back there to Declan Pilkington, who played his heart out. Now a tactical switch here. Galway there in great numbers. Michael Coleman. It's Kevin Martin again running into a challenge here, this time from Joe Rabbit. Michael Keneally in there, the fresh player, the number 18. On towards Joe Dooley. Throws down by Dermot Fahy, needing Nigel Shaughnessy there to help him out. John Troy. Space really at a premium. A fully committed battle by 2 teams. Play never really opened up to any great extent, but for all that we've had some memorable scores. Michael Coleman against the other Michael Keneally. Nigel Shaughnessy and Michael Coleman really fired up for the battle, kicking that one forward towards Justin Campbell. John Troy finally opening it up. Down it goes nicely. And that's just gone wide there off the stick of Michael Dygnam. Hurler, county footballer, very experienced player. Hubert Rigney. Pat Malone trying to set something up for Galway. It's not been their afternoon. Michael Dygnam was wondering where that was going. It was going into the hands of Christy Halliburtt. Long ball. Joe Cooney in there raiding. Jim Troy. Cooney. Goal. Just what Galway's needed. Joe Cooney gets a vital goal with still about 8 minutes to go. Though not playing well, Galway are still firmly there. And it's anybody's game. Just winning the race there with Jim Troy. Martin gleefully accepting the chance. Well, Christy Helibert, the one who set it up for him, that long clearance out of defence. What a match he's played. Likewise, Michael Coleman, one of the stars for Galway. It's there for the taking now at this stage. Coleman trying to get away from Michael Keneally. In towards Liam Burke, batted down here by Brian Wheelahan. Joe Cooney once again. Shane McGuckian now trying to take it away here. Onto that left-hand side towards Johnny Dooley. Hasn't seen much of the action from play in the second half. Ball comes nicely across here for Joe McGrath. And Jackson, as is known, making a bit of ground. Justin Campbell, we know how fast he can be. Needing assistance. Joe Rabbit. Very little space. Johnny Dooley back there around the half-back line to assist his defence. Michael Duignan breaking it down for John Troy to come onto it. Still Troy. Great pick up from Troy that time, just after he'd lost it momentarily. Back to Michael Duignan. Bixby attempted block. The shot and the point. It's a great score. Michael Duignan's first point and 4 between them. Well, Johnny Dooley with that long ball out of defence. Jim Troy seemed to lose it initially. Or John Troy rather, then he regained it. There, look, a lovely pick up back towards the man who's scoring it. Great point. Michael Coleman, just when there were 3 between them, needs to plug the gap once again. Kevin Martin, and Martin Hannamy rather. Hannamy on this left-hand side. Joe Dooley, cool head in a crisis. Down into space. Christy Helibert can't take it. Instead it's Paul Cooney with Pat O'Connor in possession. Held on to it. Now it's got to be a free out. What could I do, he's arguing. 6 minutes to go. 1:10 for Galway, but 2:11 for Offaly. This is where Christy Helibert was watching that one the whole time. The pick up there by the substitute Pat O'Connor, but he held on too long against some strong challenges. It'll be Christy Helibert from Ballinderreen who'll take this one. Another player who's played his heart out. Towards Joe Rabbit, getting it into the hands, going forward with some purpose, free in. Willie Barrett, the referee from Tipperary. Liam Burke will be the taker. This was a great catch. Possession was so vital here. Look at the player on him, Martin Hannamy, so difficult to dispossess or to win a ball from. So Liam Burke on the 20-metre line. Will he go for the point? He's taken it short to Cooney, blocked down brilliantly. Oh, it was Johnny Pilkington who came in that time. Some really quick thinking there between Liam Burke and Joe Cooney. The marking was just slack momentarily, and then in came Pilkington. Great recovery save. Watch it again. Cheeky won this. Into Joe Cooney, and there was Johnny Pilkington. Liam Burke cutting it across. Shane McGuckian. Well, they really needed it across in front of goal that time. And it'll come here from the hopper. Not quite finding the range. And 9th wide for Galway. There have been 13 wides for Offaly. Their flags flying defiantly and proudly. With just over 4 minutes to go. And there are only 4 points separating the teams. Now at this crucial stage in the game. Offaly trying to hold on. Galway with Joe Rabbit trying to come more and more into the game. Joe McGrath against Kevin Martin. That one into space there for Liam Burke to come across to. Taking it well, Justin Campbell calling for it on this near side. It reaches Joe Cooney instead. Cooney, the goal scorer, just a few minutes ago. The hand pass into space, hopefully! Oh, it's gone agonisingly. Outside and wide. It was so close. Justin Campbell was within inches. He's looking at the watch. He can't believe it. This was another very enterprising ball here. Hit there by Justin Campbell, just outside. So there might have been a few steps taken as well, just before that. Michael Keneally for Offaly. Joe McGrath for Galway. Cross again towards Justin Campbell. Just two men to aim it inside, Joe Cooney and Liam Burke, against very tough marking Offaly backs usually. Liam Burke strikes it, Jim Troy saves. Cleared away, needing the assistance here of Kevin Kinahan. Offaly living very dangerously. You can never beat a Galway side easily in any match, semi-final or final. Out to Pat Malone. And they've really spurned so many good chances in the second half. Their outside shooting hasn't been of the highest order. This was another good chance here. Liam Burke not putting any great authority behind it. Jim Troy making the save. I make it 2 minutes plus injury time to go. Jim Troy, of course, played against Galway in the 1985 All Ireland Final. Is he now going to face up to Limerick in 4 weeks' time? Kevin Martin nursing it away. There was a push there, and the line's gone down here. Ger Harrington spotted Dermot Fahy, I think, pushing John Troy. Claims here that it should in fact be a free the other way. It's going to be a sideline ball. The referee didn't take any action. John Troy, the player who was pushed. Michael Coleman fluffing it somewhat, getting the assistant help from Pat Malone. And Joe Dooley doing so well, closing him down, wasting a few precious seconds. And that goal by Billy Dooley was so important in the second half, in the 22nd minute of the second half. This time it's going to be a free down. Johnny Dooley with 7 points in the match. One, I think, from play, but almost faultless. In fact, very much faultless from frees. I think just one dropped short, and that was from some distance out. Brian Wheelahan down towards Michael Dignan. Joe Dooley trying to finish now in some style. Joe Dooley getting a second point, and a lovely time in the match from an Offaly point of view. Trying to finish off the opposition. A move started up by Brian Wheelahan. And now 5 points between the teams, 212 to 110. Well, 3 points is as near as Galway managed to get after that goal there by Joe Cooney. And then Offaly came back very smartly to fire over a couple of points. And with players like Martin Hannamy, the captain of the team, playing their heart out. Good intelligent ball as well, down to Michael Dignan. No marking, that should have been, but wasn't. Offaly now facing into another All-Ireland final and the first meeting with Limerick in the decider. But that, it would seem, as we're now virtually into injury time. Jerry McInerney. Joe Dooley again trying to stop the advancing back there, who was Tom Hillibert. Stalemate. That'll do Offaly quite nicely. Billy Dooley with a neat pick-up into space, nobody there except the goalkeeper coming racing out. And now it's all very much at the discretion of the referee and how much time he's prepared to add on. With 5 points between them, Offaly look to be on their way. Michael Dignan taking it down here, with Joe Rabbit having recovered from injury off camera, I can tell you. And Joe Dooley just to the left. The Offaly crowd, I think, felt that one had gone over. Clearly tailed. The amateur whistlers here now at Croke Park, just encouraging referee Willie Barrett to signal the end of this match. But Joe Rabbit happily recovered from injury, advancing. Liam Burke missed it, and Troy comes out, closed down by Joe Cooney, getting the assistance of his backs in there. Perilous situation, but with 5 between them, Offaly can breathe a nice mighty sigh of relief, and it's gone wide. Liam Burke with a quizzical expression on his face. Well, without playing well today, Galway had chances to be much nearer. But Offaly had been the better team all through, I think. And that's as near as Galway came to getting another goal. Joe McGrath, just leaving it behind to Kevin Martin. Kevin Martin trying his luck. He's certainly impressed this season in the championship, and that's his first point in the match. The Offaly faces will be easy to pick out. They're the ones with joy and satisfaction written all over them, thanks to the excellence of the left half back. And it's all over! It's Offaly who go through to the All Ireland Final in 4 weeks' time. And then their team coach and trainer, Eamon Cregan, will be up against his native county of Limerick. A first ever Offaly Limerick All Ireland Hurling Final. It should be a great day. Offaly deserve to get through here. Their first goal by John Troy in the first half after 27 minutes. And another fine goal by Billy Dooley after 22 minutes of the second, really setting them up. In spite of a late goal by Joe Cooney, it wasn't quite enough. And Offaly go through to the decider. They were the better team. They deserve to go to the final. And the final score here reads Offaly the Masters by 6 points. Offaly 213, Galway 110.
So then, a unique pairing for the All Ireland Hurling Final on the first Sunday in September. It'll be Limerick versus Offaly, and what a match that promises to be. Limerick deserving winners of their first semi-final here against Antrim, winning that one quite easily in actual fact. And Offaly very much deserving winners in the second semi-final against Galway. For Galway people, consolation, their minors came through from the first match at Croke Park, beating Kilkenny in that, so they will have a representation in the All Ireland Final. Now, of course, still with me here in our presentation box is DJ Carey of Kilkenny and Babs Keating, former Tipperary manager. DJ, Offaly deserved to be in the All Ireland Final, but they cut it a bit close in the end.
They did, Michael. There was Galway got a couple of chances there, but for stout defending or panicking defending, they could have got a couple of goals. But in fairness, there was Offaly defended very well today.
One of the things, Babs, is when you bring on, I think the 6 subs came on in the second half of that match. When that happens, it changes the pattern of the game, indeed loses its pattern to some degree.
Well, from a Galway point of view, Michael, you'd have to suggest that they had a better team in the second 35 minutes, and I think that team and the positional change that they made, I think that team might have pulled them through. They played with more heart. Pat Malone made enough difference in the middle of the field, and having Paddy Kelly in corner forward was obviously a waste of time for a certain period. And Joe McGrath made a hell of a difference to Galway. So I think there'll be questions asked in the Tipperary man John McIntyre will be asking questions in Galway this week, and there'll be an inquest into Galway's performance, certainly in the first half. And as DJ did say, they got the opportunities to win the match too, like the ball that Justin Campbell missed, the free the short free to Joe Coney, I think it was a mistake at that stage of the game. But I think the turning point for Offaly was the good goal that Billy Dooley got. He fought very hard for it. Galway were completely on top and back to within 4 points. That was the goal, like they won it for Galway, for Offaly. They were in trouble only for that score.
Well, there is the goal by Billy Dooley. He took a hell of a knock in scoring it, but I think he'd feel, Babs, it was worth it tonight.
Yeah, well, he can claim credit for Offaly's victory, because looking at Eamon Cregan running around the field, he was desperate, and Offaly were not going well. Like Pat Malone and Michael Coleman dominated the middle. Offaly took off Daithí Regan. Maybe not, or maybe it's a borderline case. So it's going to be a good final. The one man I feel sorry for is Eamon Cregan, because you can say he can lose, but I don't know, can he win either? Yeah,
sure, yeah. Just the taking off of Daithí Regan, DJ, I thought that was a little bit of a strange move from an Offaly point of view. He'd been playing very well.
Yeah, certainly in the first half he created an awful lot of chances. I thought he was playing very well. Maybe it was something tactical, maybe to waste a minute or two. I don't know. It seemed surprising from up here anyway, because he was going well. Maybe the Offaly selectors looked at it that Galway started taking over in that sector for a while. But Pat Malone certainly made a difference in there. But I'd have to say Pat O'Connor played very well in at full forward for Offaly. He broke an awful lot of ball. He set up the goal. So in a way the substitutes played their part as well in the game.
Sure. I know that hindsight is a wonderful thing. There's always 20/20 vision in hindsight, DJ. Pat Malone, when he came on for Galway, certainly shored them up around the middle of the field. Perhaps there was an argument for starting him and chancing it.
Yeah, well, I'm not a manager, or I wouldn't like to be in their shoes, or I'm not a selector. But if I was arguing against it, I'd say if a man was injured and he was expecting to play, I'd prefer to start him. you know, that would be the way I look at it now. Other managers or selectors would look at it totally different to that, and Babs would probably look at it totally different to that. But if I was in that position, I'd have to say I'd prefer to start a player if he was in contention for a place, if he was good enough, if the selectors felt he was good enough to be in contention for a place. I'd certainly prefer to start him.
Right then, Babs, we have seen Limerick, we've seen Offaly, both of them come through tough championship campaigns into the All Ireland final. From what you've seen so far, who would you pick for this one?
I'm going to go for Offaly, and it's a hard thing to oppose a team from my own province, and my feelings would be for Limerick, but I would hate to be a Leinster hurler or a Limerick hurler facing the Offaly backline. They have tremendous commitment, tremendous courage, and a lot of good hurlers. There'll be no change at all given from the Offaly backs, and I just think that Croke Park will be probably more at home to them.
Yes. So. All right. Okay, Babs, thank you very much for your comments. By the way, good luck to you. I know there's a special function for you down in Clonmel tonight. DJ Carey, thank you for joining us on the panel as well. With that, we must leave it then. There's, of course, European Athletics coming up at this channel in just a few moments' time. And an invite to you to join me for the Sunday game later on tonight, Network 2 at 8 o'clock, when we'll be reviewing both of today's semi-finals, also having interviews with the players, and, of course, our man of the match selections. That's 8 o'clock later on. Hope you'll join me for that.
Thanks.